All of my insides want to be on my outsides.
And make sure I'm not in your shot. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
It's time.
All right, so Marcus is about to call his dad. Quiet on the set. Marcus, it's all you, buddy.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Many lands call me to come home, come be free. This is where you should be. I know none of them are my home. Mighty mountains and painted skies, gentle seas. This is where you should be. Busy cities that promise gold, just agree, this is where you should be. I know none of them are my home.
I've been fascinated with film for as long as I can remember. Some of my earliest memories are watching The Lion King, just over and over and over. And then when I was little, I had this neighbor girl that I lived next to, Jordan, and she somehow just always had whatever the newest Disney movie was. And so, like in the summers, we'd spend all day over there watching them in her basement. And I think that that really spurred my love for movies, but also I think for music as well. But as I grew up, I really began to start like taking a real interest in the filmmaking process, and so anytime I'd watch a new movie, I would immediately watch it over again with the director's commentary on. And so fast forward a few years, and I've been doing stand-up for a little bit, and a friend of mine was working on a comedy, and he asked me to do some punch-up on that script for him. And by the time we'd finished that session, he was like, do you just want to read for this part? And I was like, I guess so. And so a few months later, I was on my first film set, and it was such a rush. It was a small production, but it felt just like the first time that I ever played music on a stage in front of people, and I knew like there was something to it, and I just couldn't get enough of it. And so shortly after, I started writing, trying to come up with a story that I thought people would want to see and something that, was worth telling and could actually get made. And I heard someone say, talking about characters, that films that people truly connect with are films with characters that they can sympathize with. And so you have to be able to insert yourself into the narrative. And then it just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks of like, I have that story. I've had that story for a long time. I have something that people can connect with on a personal level, and that's my story. It's this story. So I started doing some research, and I found out that sadly this is the story of so many people, and so quickly it became about something bigger than just trying to make a movie for me. And that I wanted to share the story of millions of people just like me. And so I am hiring a private investigator, and I'm going to attempt to meet my biological father for the first time. Okay, so last night I got an email from the private investigator that said, hey, we've got all of your stuff, and just give us a quick phone call, because she just kind of wanted to talk me through some things, because it's apparently, this is like a bit of a nerve-wracking deal, which I'm really feeling now. I for sure have two younger brothers and a younger sister. And, Jesus. It's just the weirdest thing to have never seen or thought about somebody that I've been related to my whole life, and they're like fairly young and look happy. Oh boy. I don't know, I'm on social media all the time, and I've never cared about somebody's Facebook profile until about 5 minutes ago. It is oddly comforting to know that, like, this is for sure you. Oh, their family looks really happy. And, that's great.
Marcus is getting ready to go on a plane and head back, basically to his roots, and he's going to see the hospital that he was born in. He is going to probably drive by a house that I brought him home from the hospital in, and this whole entire thing coming full circle. This is 25 years in the making, and he's not the only one. He's not the only child without a father, but not every child without a father has the opportunity and has a voice, and I couldn't, as a mother, be more proud of him. I told him a couple weeks ago, I've never...
We left and headed to the airport a few hours later, and I barely slept at all that night. I don't know that I've ever been that anxious in all my life, and all I kept thinking was, you only have to do this once. Like, no matter what happens, it will never happen again. At least not for the first time. And I think too often fear is misplaced trust. But fear is also wisdom in the face of danger. And I knew that I was very much opening myself up to a pretty high level of emotional danger, which is something I don't do. I don't really set myself up for failure. So I was scared, and I think if something's worth doing, it's worth doing afraid. And so I headed to Phoenix, more afraid than I've ever been.
I gotta face it. I'm running away. I gotta face it. I'm running away. I gotta face this. I'm running away. I gotta face this. I'm running away.
So yeah, we just landed in Phoenix. It's 7:05 in the morning. We slept a tight 3 hours, and waiting on Scott to come pick us up, and then we're gonna do this thing. Let's go make a movie.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I know that this isn't just my story, and sort of the research that I found leading up to filming this. 43% of kids in the U.S. will grow up in a single-parent home, and 72% of black kids from 3rd to 12th grade grow up without a father specifically. So I guess I am, as sad as it is, I'm kind of in the majority. But yeah, 90% of homeless runaways didn't have a father figure in the house. 85% of imprisoned teens come from fatherless homes. 63% of suicides committed by people ages 12 to 26 are people from fatherless homes. And of the 27 mass shootings, 26 of them were committed by a fatherless young man. So I'm not here to tell you that I have the solution, but I do believe that I've identified a pretty clear societal issue. I'm not perfect by any means. I'm just I'm just another float in the broken people parade. But while this may be my journey, I know that this isn't just my story, at least not mine alone. So maybe this story is about you, or about your son or your daughter, or a friend of yours, or somebody that you know. But at the end of the day, I think it's important that this story be about forgiveness and about redemption.
Several months ago, when he told me that he was doing this, that he was making this documentary, that he was going to go off and actually find his dad, as a mom, being incredibly proud of him, but also as a mom, being just still incredibly regretful that this has to come full circle, but I'm glad that it is. I'm really glad that it is.
Let's get go back to the house. I need to take
A few.
a few minutes to think about some things.
Okay.
Maybe find a rope and a tall tree.
Or a really strong ceiling fan.
Yeah. And then we'll eat, and then I guess I'm gonna call it. So here it was, the moment of truth. I don't say this lightly, but this has truly been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Even just like a few minutes before we had cameras rolling, I had the thought of like, what if I just don't do it at all? And I don't know that I think anyone really could have blamed me if I had, but yeah, I was nervous to my core, like literally uncontrollably shaking. And then I don't know if something inside me just rose up or what. So I walked back into the house, and Parker and Caleb they'd had everything set up for a while, and he asked me, he's like, "Are you ready? You know what you're gonna say?" And I was like, "No, let's do it."
All right.
All of my insides want to be on my outsides.
And make sure I'm not in your shot. Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
It's fine.
All right. So
Let
Marcus
me.
is about to call his dad. Quiet on the set. Marcus, it's all you, buddy. So go ahead. Action. Wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Just say what you're about to do.
I already called once. No!
You haven't said it.
That
You haven't
probably
said
goes
what you're
through.
about to do yet.
Oh, because I don't know.
Post.
Huh?
We'll do it after.
We'll do it live. Oh, okay. Keep doing bits
Say it to
and
the
it'll be
camera, Tom.
okay.
Say it now into the camera with this emotion.
I am about to call and speak to my father for the first time, and I have had 2.5 decades to think about this, and intentionally I've thought about it every single day for the last 7 months, and have no idea what I'm doing. So without further ado, let's uproot somebody's life.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
One more time. One more time.
Is not available.
Was that him?
I don't know.
What is it?
Hand me my computer because I've got his wife's phone number and I might just have
Is
to
this
call
yours?
her. Yeah.
Well, you should call him one more time.
Hey, is this?
Who's calling?
This is gonna sound crazy, man, but my name is Marcus, and I am your son. I'm the son of Michelle Annette Lee. And I been looking for you. I'm in Phoenix for the next 4 days, and I don't want anything from you. I'm not upset. I'm not anything, but I just want like an hour of your time.
Okay, what is your name?
My name is Marcus Lee.
Okay, and where are you at?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay, where in Phoenix are you?
What are we? Are we actually in Scottsdale? I'm actually in Scottsdale.
I'm trying to figure out some place to meet you.
Yeah. Rush Coffee in Gilbert, Arizona. It's about halfway between us.
Oh, okay, hold on. Can I call you right back?
Yeah.
I will call you right back. Okay.
There's no easy way.
Yeah, but it's awesome that
There's no easy way to deliver that news.
but he wants to meet you.
Yeah.
I did it. I called my father, and even after just the brief call, I knew that I was going to be okay. But he said he'd call me right back, so I sat at that table mostly in silence, just trying to figure out and really process like what had just happened. And then an hour and 8 minutes later, my phone rang.
Are we good?
We're on.
Hit record. Hit record.
Hey.
Is this Marcus?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let me ask you a couple, but I'll meet you tomorrow. Let me ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah.
What need do you have? I'm not angry at you or anything.
Mhm.
I'm just curious. It's been, what, how old?
25.
Okay. It's been a while.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. And how did you get this done?
A few months ago, I hired a private investigator.
Wow. Okay. How is your mom?
I mean, she knows about all of this. She's
She what?
she knows that I'm doing this. She's a little emotional about it, but she's good.
What?
Emotional about it. But she's,
Well, look, I'm not going to make this a traumatic thing.
oh no, yeah.
You just gotta understand now. I've never seen you. Never seen you, and you don't even need to go over history.
Yeah.
Never met that, so it's like out of the blue. So I talked to my wife.
I totally understand that. Like, there's no good way to deliver this kind of news. I realize that.
Okay. So what? You just want to meet me, or is there
So everything, all cards on the table. I'm in the process of I'm filming a documentary about this whole journey of finding and meeting you. You absolutely do not have to appear on camera. I mean, if you want to, awesome. But I just want, an hour of your time. Again, like exactly what I said before. I'm not upset. I'm not looking to get anything from you. But yeah, I just want to meet you in the most like honest and genuine sort of way. I don't have any animosity or ill intentions behind this.
Okay. I don't want to be filmed, and I don't want to do that, but I'll sit down and talk to you tomorrow.
Cool.
How's that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. I'll be at that place at noon.
Okay.
All right.
I will see you tomorrow.
Okay.
I mean, to want to meet immediately is kind of great. It's also terrifying. It's now that's the hardest thing that I have to do is not just like having to talk to him. It is like now I have to do it again, but I can't sit here and sweat and fidget and be nervous. I have to act like an adult. But I'm sure he's just as nervous, but I don't think that he had told his wife. So he's had an interesting last hour and is probably going to have a rough week. And everything is kind of different starting tomorrow in some way, no matter how minuscule or huge. But I did it.
Even just being able to sit here and say that I did it, like I overcame fear and anxiety at least for one night. And man, I count that as a huge win. So I've been living with chronic stress disorder for about a year or two now. And one of the things it does is it disrupts sleep patterns and chemical levels throughout your body. So you're pretty much running on pure adrenaline, like your body doesn't really leave fight or flight mode. And that night was it was the first time that I slept through the night in over a year. And I woke up and I was like rested and ready. And I think I was finally ready to meet my father after 25 years.
I just think there's a lot of things that he is going to experience that he doesn't yet know. I think that there's going to be some emotional highs, and I think there's going to be some devastating lows that he's yet to prepare himself for. Going into this with an expectation that I'm just telling a story or that he is just exposing a fatherless generation, that is part of the goal of this. But I do believe that if he has the opportunity to be face to face with his actual father, I think there is a host of emotions that he's probably not prepared for, and he will not be until that moment.
Have more time to sit and stew in my own terror. Yeah.
Stu, when are you meeting him?
At noon.
At noon. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll sit with you until like probably 11:30.
Yeah.
And then
that'll give me 30 minutes to throw up continuously.
My father did not want to be filmed, which I can't really say was a surprise to me. It was kind of a bummer, but I had sort of expected it. I know that I wouldn't want to be filmed if I was in his shoes, but I was really racking my brain story-wise, trying to figure out like how do we do this. But I will say part of me was kind of glad because I got to sit and talk with him, just the two of us. No mics, no cameras, just like a kid and his dad meeting for the first time. And so I got to totally leave film mode for a little bit and just be Marcus. So there really isn't any footage of that. Parker was slick enough to get just the quickest shot of us talking from, I think it was from his phone. But what we decided to end up doing was as soon as my father and I were done talking, we left immediately and went somewhere that I could just sit and just kind of verbally process everything that I was thinking, everything that had just happened. And I told somebody later that it was sort of fitting that, you know, I had to wait 25 years to meet him. So maybe I'm okay that you don't get to just yet.
First thoughts.
First thoughts, first feelings. As soon as like I'm trying to do a thing. I'm gonna need you to quit hollering over there, little girls. We'll leave all that in. When we were sitting at the table, I was like, "You guys need to get up and leave." That is when I think I felt the most like heart palpitations happening, and then I had the convenience of he talked a lot, and so I didn't really have to like sort of me saying like one thing kind of spurred on a lot of conversation from his end, and so I didn't have to like carry it, which was so nice. But I don't know how I feel. I don't know if I think this is the end, if this is the beginning. But it was good. I've talked to my mom about this and a few other people before, but I thanked him for having the decency to leave me alone, and I didn't have to grow up with my mom and dad like fighting for my attention and having to split up, you know, holidays and birthdays and stuff like that. And it was never like, I never had one parent pitting me against the other one. And so like I guess I thanked him for that. And he was like, yeah, I always wanted to be your father, but then you moved away. Not like it was any of my doing, because I didn't choose to get up and leave when I was, a year and a half old or whatever. But this is what I told him. It was inconvenient. There's never a good time to do this, but it was necessary. Yeah. I feel it's almost raised more questions because, like, in talking to my mom for the last 2.5 decades, the story has always been that, when they found out that she was pregnant, he was like, I don't want to, I don't want this, and it was kind of, you need to end the pregnancy. And then hearing from him that he was like, that is so not what I wanted. And he's kind of like, we don't need to get into that because it's what's done is done. And so, yeah, I guess there's two sides to every story. And I am inclined to believe the one that I have been told my whole life. And that does not make it more or less true, which is a weird thing to have to think about, because I'm sure that they will never come to an agreement on what happened. But I mean, that doesn't matter. Nothing can be changed about that. The reason why it happened, the reason why he was not a part of my life, doesn't really matter, because that's already happened.
Yeah.
He said, I never didn't want to be your father. All he wanted was to be the kind of person that his kids would be proud of. it seems like the children that live in his life, the children that live in his house, have a pretty cool dad that loves him, and I missed out on that, and I'm okay. I'm not perfect, but I turned out okay. He said that he was he's glad that he got to meet who I became and not who I could have become. I have no idea what, like, I asked him, I was like, what do we do now? It's like, I think we just kind of go on living our lives with a few less questions and a slightly smaller hole.
We were just super curious about what's going on. And so we go inside and we see Marcus sitting down with his dad, just talking. We could hardly hear anything they were saying, but just the back of Marcus's dad is all I could see. So we sit kind of a far away off and we're having a drink and we're just catching glances over. And I just get too curious and I'm like, I have to see what this man looks like. So I did also have to go to the bathroom. So not everything was a farce, but I went to the bathroom and on the way back I could actually see his face. And it wasn't like he was exactly the same looking, but he said something like, I completely understand, and he like moved his head in a certain way, and I was like, that is Marcus's dad. So that was crazy to see that connection. It was like, there's no one else in the world that this could be. For me, that's all I wanted. You know, that's what I really wanted in the beginning. That's how I was hoping this thing would turn out. That you would catch a glimpse of somebody that's like, I could see that man being a dad to me. You know, and wanting that, I think is a really good step in the right direction. I think people go through their life and tend to want to run from a father figure just because of hurts and unintentional bruising that happens through that process. But through all of this, you've actually found yourself being drawn more towards loving fatherhood.
Saint Joseph in Catholicism, which like his middle name is Joseph, which is part of the title of the film Searching for Saint Joseph. And Saint Joseph in Catholicism is the patron saint of fathers. And that's, you know, I was born at St. Joseph's Hospital. Like, he didn't even know that. He found that out yesterday, that's where I was born. And yeah, that's why his middle name is Joseph. He was named after the actual St. Joseph. So he knows about it. I don't know if he'll ever see it, but
Marcus's dad is actually a very talented musician, singer-songwriter, and if I could sit across from him, I would let him know that in a lot of ways, his son grew up a lot like him, but at the same time, his son has far surpassed he has far surpassed anything that I would have ever hoped, imagined, or dreamt for him. And to know Marcus, whether you're his parent, an aunt, an uncle, a friend, anyone that knows Marcus knows that it is an absolute blessing and a privilege to be allowed into his space. And his dad has missed an entire lifetime of blessings too great to ever count.
Throughout this whole process, one thing that I've just really had to come to terms with is that no matter what, whether this had been an amazing experience or a terrible experience, is that I will always have not grown up with a father, but that is okay, and I am okay. And if this is your story too, just know that you can be okay. You can be broken and still be okay. For me, the first steps towards, I guess, being okay are being able to forgive. And as much as I needed to forgive my father, I think I also needed to forgive myself, just for harboring so much anger and resentment towards him over the years. And then once I could let that go, I sort of gave myself the chance to be scared. And it's a lot easier to do things angry than it is afraid. And I don't know if I was afraid of rejection or what, but I did it. I did it scared out of my mind, but I did it. And I think knowing that this is only the beginning, in some ways raises more questions. The biggest being, where do we go from here? And I've been wondering that a lot lately. I didn't tell the guys this, but as we were getting ready to board the plane to come home, I got a text from him, and as soon as Caleb heard my phone go off, he was ready to start shooting right away. But I was like, no, it's just my mom texting me back. It's fine. But it was my dad, and it was just 4 simple words. It just said, "When is your birthday?" And so I guess that's how we start. From the very beginning. So yeah, I did it. I met my father. I don't know how much we'll keep in contact, but I made contact. But in a lot of ways, I think I'm still searching for St. Joseph, but I'm closer now than I've ever been before.
I've been searching for St. Joseph. I wonder if I'm closer than I've ever been before.
So, against my better judgment, we are back in the Denver airport because initially my father had said, I don't want to be in the documentary, I don't want to be filmed, which I totally understand. And then a friend of mine was talking to me about it, and he was like, I really think you should reach out to him, you should ask him again, and just see if he would say yes this time. And I did, and he agreed to do it. So I'm on my way to Phoenix right now. The thing of it is, today is May 4th, and it is currently 7:39 p.m. The film is still slated to be released on May 24th, so I have 20 days to shoot, re-edit, and put this all together. Also, I'm gonna go see my dad again, which is a weird thing to say. But, I mean, I think it's gonna go well. Like I said a bunch the first time that we were there, like, you only have to do this once, you only have to do this once. And that is true, you only have to do it once for the first time. And I will admit, I'm way less nervous than I was the first time. That doesn't mean I feel good about it. So this table right over here, I was sitting in this chair November 9th of, a year and a half ago when I spoke to my father for the first time. And this chair is where I sat until 2:04 this morning editing the footage that we shot yesterday. We're getting ready to stage this room because this is where we're going to sit down and I guess see whatever happens. But we got to go out and get some stuff. We need to go buy some tripods and some things like that. And then my father is coming here, and I honestly don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know if that is scary or exciting, but it feels like a little bit of both. And I think I shouldn't be like, I don't know, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Like I keep saying that I feel like I'm nervous, but I don't know. I've already done the hard part. So maybe this will be a good thing. I feel like we could admit this is kind of a awkward scenario. So I called you like, 2.5 weeks ago, and just asked if you would reconsider being in it. So we met. This is actually like the seat and the table that I was sitting at when I called you last November. So part of me is just curious, like, what made you change your mind about like agreeing to be filmed?
Well, I mean, you're my son, and if this will help you get further along, man, then I need to do this.
Do you feel like you actually like need to do it, or is it more of a like
I need to do
being
this.
more willing to do it?
I'm more willing to do it. I need to do this for you. I don't need to do this for me. I need to do this for you.
That's fair, and I totally understood like first time around of why you didn't want to be in it. I was actually like
Most of that
more
was shock.
prepared for that.
Most of that was shock, and I'll tell you this: because of the circumstances, I never actually planned on you ever coming to see me. I never even knew you might knew who I was. So it was a bit of a shock, and I had to live my life based on thinking you would never see me. So when you did call, I was like, wow. And after the shock wore off and we started talking, then when you said, hey, could you be in this? Yeah, okay, I'll do that. I mean, it's for you more than it's for me.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And I mean, really until like I called you and then we met the next day, like I think you can sort of, at least I did, you kind of picture like, oh, if I ever, met my father, this is what I would say, this is how I'd react. You have no idea until the moment like actually comes, because I know you talked to me about being like, thinking I was going to be, real mad, ready to jump you or whatever. And I think it probably like 16, 17, I probably would have been in that state. And then at some point you realize like just holding on to stuff like that, it doesn't help me, it doesn't help you. It's like we didn't have a face to like even put that anger towards. And then by the time I did have like a face and like, knew who you were, like that was like way gone. And I think I told you when I first called you, like, I'm not mad, I don't want anything. And that's still true. Like I hope you know that and have seen that over the last
yeah, and
18 months.
and you being my son, well, you didn't ask me for anything. But as a father, and I learned this from my wife, I have to do what I can for you. Okay? Now we know. You're exactly who I'd hoped you'd be. You're a good guy, a hell of a musician, and you seem to be a genuine, heartfelt human being. And that's all I ever hoped for any of my kids, man. But now we know each other. And it's funny because we find that we're a lot more similar than I ever thought we'd be.
I think we probably have a lot more in common than we don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You seem to be a good dude, man, and I'm proud of you. I don't want nothing from you either, just to be proud. You go make your records. I ain't coming looking for no loans or nothing like that. Okay, I'm saying that because I know cats that do that.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for that from you. I'm looking for you to be the best guy you can be. Knowing that there's an old guy somewhere proud as hell. That's all I want for you. And I've always felt that way. I just didn't know who to feel that way towards.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. I'm your father, and nothing's going to change that. But here we are, and now we're here. And actually, you're right. We got more in common than we don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is like on my end a really interesting thing, because I remember sitting there. It was the 28th of October when I got the report back from the private investigator, and just seeing like reading through that report and seeing the photos and like seeing you playing bass and stuff like that. It was like, and I think even it might have
seen me play bass.
It might have even been in like your Facebook like profile description. It said like band leader at whatever, and it was one of those like, no one on the other side of my family is musical, like
none.
No. So
Nobody plays music. Nothing.
No. So seeing like, okay, what are the odds that like play the same instrument and we essentially have the same job? It was like, okay, we for sure have. I knew in that moment, like, okay, we at least have one thing in common, and we have it incredibly in common.
Yeah, we even use sunburst finishes. Yeah. I mean, it's just
that's just good taste.
Yeah, oh yeah, there you go. There you go. And so you say, well, where does that leave us? I said, well, now we know each other without the hole in there. Because I know, man, you must have had a hole in there. I had a hole too. Now we don't have the hole. So let's be cool without the hole. There's nothing we could do about the rest of this stuff. But we can do something about today.
That's fair. I'm cool with being cool. I will say, and it was shortly after I called you a few weeks ago to ask if you would do this. And you had sent me a text that was like, hey, let's like, I think you said it's a comment for the suggestion box.
Oh!
Yeah. But you said, let's figure out what to call me. And you said it after a year and a half, it sucks being called like, hey man. Which in my defense, I call my mother by her first name. So it's a personal thing. But so being called hey man, that is like everyone in my phone gets called that. So that is not like a personal thing. But I will say.
Okay, what do you have me under where you saved me?
You're still under CJW. If it makes you feel any better, mom's name is Shell. That's what she is in my phone.
Call her that?
Every single day. So that's not a personal thing. So I can see how on your end that that probably doesn't feel awesome after 18 months. But what I will say is like I have also struggled with like, okay, what do I call you? Because I will say I refer to you as my father, and I've never actually called you that. But part of that for me is I feel like since we have met, like we're definitely like closer than we've been. That doesn't necessarily make us close. Like I'm in better shape than I was a year and a half ago. I'm still not in good shape, but being better is one thing. But I feel like 95% of our conversations are like career industry based, which is awesome that we have that in common and we can talk shop all day like we just did for the last 2 hours. And it's great. And I 2 years ago would have never imagined that was even like in the realm of possibility. But it also feels like you've gotten to know me really well, like professionally, but not like in a father-son intimate relationship type of way. Like I feel like you don't know a ton about me. And it's not that I'm not a super open person, but like if somebody asks me a question about myself, like I'll I'll pretty like freely give up information, but it feels like most of our conversations have been more like, what are you doing with music stuff? What are you doing with film stuff? And that's great, and I love that we have that in common. But it, for me, is like, there's some days where like I don't care about that, and I'll get a text from you, and I'm like, oh, what is this about? And it's like almost always something like, I guess what I would call professional. So if you're wondering like, okay, he hasn't like called me dad, and we've known each other for like a year and a half, I still feel like I'm getting to know you, and like you're still, it's like you're a stranger, and I know that there's a responsibility on you to like be more, but the amount that we actually know each other is like, I feel like I don't know you as well as I'm supposed to, and you don't know me as well as you're supposed to. If that makes sense.
At your age now, if you were Troy or Gavin, I would be talking to you about the same thing. How's the job? What are you doing? How you doing? Now it's a little different because I know them.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask, how's your girlfriend? You know, and as a grown man, it ain't really none of my business. Personal stuff, if you want to share it, I'm one of those people, you share it with me. If I have to pry, it means I probably shouldn't have it. But if it's okay with you, I can ask you different questions that don't have anything to do with Fenders or Sans 21 tech amps and stuff like that. I can do that. But when you have a year and a half and you still don't have a name, professional is all you can talk about. I'm not expecting you to call me dad. I missed that part. Pop, Padre, whatever you feel like calling me, that's cool too. You can even call me Chris. More than half my kids call me that. But that's because I married their mother. But if we're going to have that kind of relationship, I can be cool with that too. I just need to know where we are. We will start.
And we don't have to get into those on camera.
No. But we can start getting into other things on the phone. And don't feel like you can't call me. Because I know that's a kind of weird thing. You can call me. And all my kids can call me. When I say all, I just mean the 4 I actually have, not you. But you can call me anytime you want to. I'm up early and I'm asleep late. You can call me anytime you want to. Don't feel like you can't call. Okay. And if you want to ask me something all out of the way that ain't got nothing to do with bases, then feel free. Feel free. You can ask me anything my children can ask me.
So with you knowing that this is like obviously being filmed, we don't just always keep like lights on tripods on a kitchen table.
That's not decorations?
No. For people watching this right now who are either like in my situation or in your situation, of either like I, grew up without one of my parents, or spending most of your life without one of your children. Like, what would you say to somebody in either of our situations?
Okay, I can't say anything for somebody in your situation because I haven't been there. Okay, I only been on this side of the table, and what I can say to that is, if you have a child out there, they may be looking for you. You got internet now. You got other things at your disposal. Find them. Okay, find them. They need you in some way. I'm pretty sure somewhere in this last 26 years, you probably needed me.
Yeah.
If you have that boy out there that's looking for you and looking like you, because when I looked at you, I went, whoa, that's me. You need to find that. I have a part now that's not missing anymore. I have a part that was missing for a long time and it's not missing anymore. And you're not gonna understand what that feels like until you get that phone call is made. But If you can make that phone call, make it. That's what I would say. That's what I would say.
I just got back from probably a 4, almost 5 hour long dinner with my dad and my uncle and my stepmom, which is like feels kind of weird to say. I think I'm still wrestling with like embracing this sort of new family that I've sought out, but also kind of just like stumbled upon. And I'm realizing more and more, like with each step of this journey, of recognizing that I was the one that decided to open this door. And if you're gonna open a door, you have to be willing to let people walk into it. And so they asked if, hey, can we get to know each other better, like intentionally, and asking like real questions and tough questions and not being afraid of what the answer could be. So I do feel like this was a good thing. Even that time that we spent at dinner felt like just light years different from how I imagined that this would look. And that's without having like a real expectation on what I thought was going to happen. And so yeah, it definitely feels like a step in the right direction. The 2 years I've spent making this film have been full of highs and lows, doubts, fears, second chances, redemption, and forgiveness. It's felt like a long and often lonely trip, but I'm glad I took it because it was worth it. I've gained a new perspective, a new platform, a new understanding of grace and mercy, and a new family that I never knew I always had. Every day gets a little easier. Every phone call consists of a few less awkward silences. Every text message brings me a little closer to feeling more like I found my father and less like I found a stranger. I was so afraid when I set out to make this, afraid of rejection, afraid of what I might find and not liking it once I found it. I was afraid of putting my story and heart and emotions out there for the world to see, and afraid of the unknown. But if something is worth doing, then I believe it's worth doing afraid. Fear is the arena for courage to rise up, and courage is often found in some very unlikely places, birthed out of moments of desperation. But after a while, courage becomes natural, habitual, fundamental. Courage is what let me make that phone call, to plant that seed, allowing it to settle in and grow some roots. I believe that the seeds I planted simply by creating this film have already grown roots, and maybe one day, the foundation that they form will feel like home.